Heyo! Welcome to the Team SNG Test Hands video. Today we are going to be doing some amazing test hands utilizing the Amazement deck featured on the channel earlier this week. While I get attention, I'd like to ask you guys, leave us a like, leave us a comment, and leave us a subscribe. This is a going first trap-based deck, so it's kind of tough to do test hands for. What we're going to do is we're going to do 3 going first test hands where I explain what you've got at play during your opponent's turn, so you can understand the sort of control this deck gives you access to. That being said, I'm also not going to do any of the siding. If you checked out the deck profile, you'll know that I did cover a side deck. However, because this is just going first, I'm not going to talk about the side deck because half the side deck is devoted to being able to go second, and the other half of the side deck is dependent on what matchups you end up against. This deck has so much flexibility, and I'm really excited to show it off today. That all being said, let's get into it. Okay, on to our first test hand. So, starting out, we've got Trap Trick. Really nice. That basically means we have any trap in the deck that we might require. Solemn Judgment. Again, an Omni Negate, really useful thing to have. Solemn Strike, a monster negate. Attraction Horror House. At least we've got an Attraction Trap. That's really useful as well. And Arlecchino. So that is probably the best opening we can ask for because we have 4 traps and Arlecchino here. So our opponent is going to be in hot water. So what we're going to do, guess what guys, this is going first. We're going to set 4 traps. Alright. The first trap that we activate on our opponent's turn is going to special summon our Arlecchino. So, I don't know, we'll say we activate Solemn Strike to negate a summon. Once Solemn Strike resolves, we'll activate Arlecchino. As for the rulings of this, it's done the same way as Multifaker. So, Arlecchino's special summon is after the resolution of a trap card's effect, meaning that counter traps can effectively be used to get Arlecchino on board. The next time our opponent summons, though, we are going to use Arlecchino to attach directly from our deck Cyclocoaster to our opponent's monster, and that will then let us send Cyclocoaster to the grave and search out our Amazement Comica, meaning on our next turn, we are going to be able to use our Amazement Comica. Now, we then still have a Solemn Judgment. We have a Book of Moon or an Impermanence, depending on if it's our opponent's monster or it's our monster that we equip the Horror House to. And finally, we have Trap Trick, which will let us banish off anything, really. Possibly our Amazement Family Faces to set an Amazement Family Faces, which then we can activate if we do it at the end of the turn. And we've managed to equip our attraction to our opponent's monster, we can then take our opponent's monster away from them. So, this was a really nice opening. We managed to see not just our Arlecchino, but we were able to also get ourselves to our Comica, with our Arlecchino being able to get Cyclocoaster on the board. On top of all of this, we've managed to get ourselves in a really nice situation where on our next turn, we're going to be able to put our Comica on field, and banish off our Cyclocoaster to pop a card on our opponent's side of the field. We've probably stalled them out quite badly with 2 Solemns as well. While it's cost us quite a lot of life points to do that, we've also probably taken something from our opponent, and we've now ended up with a really imposing board that we're potentially going to be able to either run over our opponent almost completely, or we're going to be able to continue to control the board with our attendant letting us search out another attraction trap, and on our opponent's turn, when they normal or special summon, our Arlecchino being able to equip their monster with an attraction trap as well. We're probably being able to control the state of the game really, really well here. Alright, on to our second test hand. Lost Wind, a nice little monster negate we have access to. Amazing time ticket, meaning that we have no trouble here. We are going to be able to see our Arlecchino, if nothing else. Another Lost Wind. That's fine with us because it's not once per turn, meaning that we have 2 monster negates. An Amazement family faces. Okay, we really do want to see our attraction traps, but our Arlecchino theoretically will get us to our attraction traps, which is fine. And a Solemn Judgment, so a really nice fit. Typically what we're going to do here is we're going to go bum 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 bum, bum 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 bum, bum bum bum. I like to shuffle up if I'm going to just set my hand, and the reason for that is my opponent doesn't know where anything is placed, and neither do I, meaning my opponent isn't sort of able to snipe a card based on the way that I put it down. Typically people will put down their most important first, or they might put it in the middle. People get these sort of tendencies. If you shuffle your hand, play them all face down. You don't know where they are, your opponent doesn't know where they are, so it can't be based on your tendencies. And then, when your opponent starts playing, they'll probably try and snipe your back row early, let them do it. Totally fine. Because you do have your Solemn Judgment here to negate the back row snipage. Now, before we end our turn, we're going to want to activate that amazing time ticket to search out our Arlecchino, who is right here. This is really good because now on our opponent's turn, when they try to get rid of our back row, we can activate our Judgment, protecting our back row. After it resolves, we can special our Arlecchino. We also have 2 monster negates in Lost Winds. If our opponent puts a monster on board, our Arlecchino is going to put an attraction card trap directly onto that monster. So it could be the Horror House, or it could be Cyclocoaster. I typically would go with the Horror House just because I think that's a better play, because that's now a 3rd monster negate that we've had put on the field, and on top of that, we can then take that card during the end phase and bring it over to our side, putting our opponent on their back foot yet again. So we've had 4 monster negates potentially, unless we've used Solemn Judgment to protect our back row from something like Harpy's Feather Duster or Lightning Storm, which is fine. We've at least had 3 monster negates, which is really good, and we've also potentially taken something from our opponent as well. On to our final test hand. Time ticket. Lovely. Trap trick. Again, really nice. We have the choice of what we want to play. Pot of Extrav. Okay, first time we've seen that so far. Another trap trick. Oof, not really what you want to see. And Special Show. Perfectly fine. We're in good shape here. So, we're going to then go start off with our Pot of Extrav. Banish 6 from our grave. From our extra deck. That is pretty much our entire Nightmare package gone, and a Borreload. So, that's fine. Because in exchange for those 6 cards, we are drawing ourselves another amazing time ticket, which is fine because we can set it and use it on our opponent's turn. And another Pot of Extrav. Ouch, don't want that. We've had a lot of doubles in this this opening. So, what we're going to do is we're going to activate time ticket, search ourselves out our Arlecchino. Then what we're going to do is we are going to set Time Ticket, Special Show, Trap Trick, and Trap Trick. On our opponent's turn, we are going to, because we don't have a ton of traps, we are going to activate our trap trick. And we are going to banish off an Amazement Family Faces to set a second one. Then we'll chain our Arlecchino. When our opponent special summons a monster, we are going to use Arlecchino's effect to equip directly from the deck a Horror House. That will then let us use our Family Faces to take that monster away from them. We also still have an amazing time ticket, which will let us set an attraction trap directly from our deck if we want, or we can try and keep it till our next turn. We can also use our special show to bounce their card back to their hand, but we won't have a monster to special summon, which is a bit unfortunate. Although we could use it to protect our Arlecchino if our opponent went after that as well. Finally, we have a trap trick still set for the next turn, but we should theoretically, with a negate and a steal, potentially be able to put our opponents on their back foot. And on the next turn, we have another extrav just to give us the ability to draw into something more extravagant. That all being said, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Make sure you leave us a like, leave us a comment, and leave us a subscribe.